Hi, I'm Galen Lehman, and this is my friend Howard Stoner. He's been a Lehman's customer for a number of years, and he's an amazing inventor. So he brought me something that he invented. One of the things we have is we have some customers that grow their own grain, and the problem with growing your own is that you have to find a way to get the hulls off. Now, you've grown your own grain, right?
I have.
So you grow your own, and when you grow it, this is what it looks like when it comes out of the field.
When I harvest it, yeah.
And this isn't really very edible. What we need to do is get from this to this.
Yep.
And so there's 3 steps to that. The first step is to break these off of the head. And you can usually do that just by kind of rolling them around.
Yep.
And once they're broken off the head, now you've got individual grains, but they're covered with a hull or a shell.
Yep. Yep.
And what your machine will do is remove the shell.
Yes.
Yeah, very good.
Yep. And then a final step is then taking this stuff and I pour it from one bucket to another bucket and let the breeze blow the chaff off of the grain.
So the stuff we don't want here is very light.
Yes. Yep.
So we drop it in the grain mill that you've modified.
Yep. And what I did is this is like a corn mill or something you do to crack grain. Does a good job cracking grain. And I've taken the burrs and glued on a rubber mat to those, and then just go ahead and grind through those between the 2 surfaces of rubber mat, and it starts tearing the hull off.
Kind of rolls it between 2 soft rubber surfaces.
Yes,
yeah.
yes, that's what's going on.
We'll show that here in a minute.
Yep.
But I just want you to look. All that grain went in completely covered in hulls, and now what we're seeing starting to emerge is individual kernels of grain that are completely hulled, and they're not damaged. You said that with this method, you've tried like 3 or 4 different methods.
Yes.
With this method, you have almost 0 damage to the grain.
Right. Yes. Yep.
And I think you also told me that sometimes you got to put it through more than once.
Yeah.
Like here's one that didn't quite get completely hulled.
Right. Yep. And you can adjust the pressure on that by just what you do in an ordinary grinder.
Just by trying this bolt in here.
Yep. Loosening the wing nut and then just to tighten it up, and that would tend to get more of them the first time through. And what I was doing when I was experimenting with it was I would lay off a little bit on the pressure and let the first ones go through in the interest of not cracking the grain. So I think if you probably got it down to where you could get it down to where it would crack the grain when it goes through. But anyway,
so you start apart and then work your way in so that you get the right place in the end. Yep.
Yeah.
So let's take it apart and people can see how you build it. Okay. One thing is you had to tie a wire across these back 2 wing nuts, which kind of tend to slip out of the slot.
Yeah, that's because they're not the original wing nuts that were on it, which would make it so that it wouldn't come out. And also I had to stack washers in there to allow for the space for the foam rubber, the latex foam rubber.
So okay, so the cover keeps it from spilling out,
yes,
and the original fit of the cover was too tight. There's a little bit of space here to let the grain come through. We'll take the auger out here. So the material that you used is just called gum rubber. It comes in 12-inch squares.
That's the way I got it. It may come in larger volumes, but 12-inch squares all I needed. So
yeah, that's right.
To test it out.
So then, before you glued it on, you cleaned the rubber and the actual metal part with rubbing alcohol.
Yep.
Get it good and clean, and then the glue you used is just standard Loctite super glue.
Yep, that's what I did.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I put it in a vise. I clamped it in a vise overnight just to press it in.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that seems pretty simple. It's a relatively inexpensive grain mill. It's our high hopper corn mill.
Yeah.
And all you're doing is gluing this on, adding the washers as a spacer,
yep, and
then putting that wire across to keep them from slipping out.
Yep. Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Very cool. Nice job.
Thank you.